Hi guys, welcome to the next video of the RESTful tutorial series. In the last video we saw some of the basic annotations which we can use for the RESTful web service. We also wrote some code and tried to understand how they work conceptually. Today we'll see them running in real time on the server. I have taken the same project which we created in the last video. We'll work on the same code and try to make them fully functional. So here's the project which we created in the last video. Let's open up our classes. First we need to remove these errors related to annotations by importing the required packages. Now we have imported all the packages and thus those errors are removed. Let's try to add some system.out.println statements to some of our methods of the resource class. Let's add these statements to the getUser and updateUser method. We will try to test these methods using the HTTP GET and HTTP POST request method. One thing which we haven't mentioned so far, that the Jersey framework works on the servlet framework. So if we want to give control to Jersey to create the web service from our code, then we need to declare their servlet in our web.xml file. Let's edit that file and try to add that servlet in our web.xml file. I have given the URL as /backend/star. So any URL with /backend/star would call this Jersey servlet. So our code is now ready with the configuration file also. Let's build the project. Run it on the server. Okay, so we got some error here, and this is because we haven't set any welcome file to our project context root, and that's why it's throwing an error 404. But our project is deployed on the server and our web service is actually ready to be used. To test our web service, we need to hit the URL to our class method like getUser or updateUser. So what we'll do, we'll use the same browser and edit the URL here to match those methods. I already told earlier in my previous video that for invoking a particular method of a resource class, we need to hit the URI corresponding to that method. Now here in getUser and updateUser methods, they don't have their own path, so the URI for them will be the class level path. So /user/service will be the path for these methods. And HTTP request methods should be get or post. Get for getUser and post for updateUser. Now before we hit this URI for the methods, we need to hit the Jersey servlet, and we already saw that for Jersey servlet we gave URI as /backend/star. So in our complete URL we should have /backend/user/service appended to the project context root. So let's put that path in the browser URL as backend user service. Now if we hit this URL from the browser, the HTTP GET request method is sent in the HTTP request header. So if we hit this URL, then the getUser method should be invoked and it should show the log in the console. Let's hit this URL. Okay, let's check the console on what is happening in the console when we hit that URL. We can see that Jersey is scanning for root resource class and provider class in webinf lib and webinf classes folder. We already know what is a root resource class, and I'll talk about the provider class later in some other video. The root resource class is the entry point class to our web service methods. So here what Jersey is doing is searching for the root resource class in the entire class path of the project, and it's being done by the Jersey servlet, the servlet container. Now after that, it's telling that it has found our root resource class user services. Then we can see we got the log statement for our getUser method. So we have successfully tested the getUser method by hitting an HTTP URL. Now let's try to test the updateUser method. The updateUser method has the same URI as the getUser method, but it requires an HTTP post request method in the HTTP request header. For this we need an HTML form to submit the URL. For this what we'll do, we'll create a separate dynamic web project. Let's create that. and this project will act as a client for us. Let's create one JSP file. Name it as client.jsp. Let's change the title here as update user. Add one form here, HTML form. Add one input text. Add one submit button. We'll use the same URL which we used for the getUser method, because both the methods getUser and updateUser has the same URI. It's only the HTTP request method which is different. Let's run this on the server. Okay, let's give some name here and click on submit. Okay, so we got the log statement for the update user method. So we are successfully able to call the update user method as well. We'll test the other methods in the subsequent video. Thanks for watching.